Alright guys, welcome back. We just got done doing some lessons on adding and subtracting of integers. Now we're going to move on to part 2, which is multiplying and dividing of integers. Now the rules for multiplying and dividing are different from when you are adding and subtracting integers. I think multiplying and dividing integers is much easier than adding and subtracting, but some people actually struggle with this one a little bit more. Alright, so when you are multiplying or dividing integers, you're just doing your normal multiplying or dividing. We just have to decide if our answer is going to be positive or negative. So here are some things to help you out. Alright, so over here, we're going to use something called the sleepy triangle. I'll tell you, sleep sounds good right now. I am worn out. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to make myself a sleepy triangle. Alright. So a negative times a negative will give you a positive. Or the easier way you can do it, cover up 1. What's a negative divided by a positive? Well, if you move your thumb, it is, it's negative. What is a negative times a negative? It will be a positive. So whatever 2 you use when you're multiplying or dividing, whatever is left will give you what your solution should be. So again, one more time. A negative times a negative will give you a positive. Or a negative divided by a negative will give you a positive. A negative times a positive is a negative. A positive times a negative is a negative. And same thing when you're dividing. The other method I like doing is the Tic-Tac-Toe method. Oh, look at that, tic-tac-toe, I win. Alright, so if I go straight across, a positive times a negative equals a negative. On this next one, a negative times a positive equals a negative, and then a negative times a negative equals positive. So if you're multiplying, you go this way. Now what happens when you're dividing? Well, check this out. A positive divided by a negative equals a negative. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. A negative divided by a negative equals a positive. So these are some nice little tools that'll help us out. So let's go ahead and do a couple of examples. So the first one says 5 times a negative 3. So we have a positive times a negative. Well, what is a positive times a negative? Well, it equals a negative. So we know my answer is going to be negative. And then just multiply the numbers. What's 5 times 3? Oh, it's 15. So 5 times negative 3 is just negative 15. There's your answer. Let's look at number 2. You see how these two parentheses are connected to one another? That's just another way of saying multiply. So this one is a negative times a negative. So let's see here. Let's use the sleepy triangle. A negative times a negative is a positive. Tic-tac-toe. Negative times a negative equals a positive. So my answer is going to be positive, and just do the math. 3 times 3, well, that's 9. Alright, let's just do one more. A positive divided by a negative. Well, let's use the sleepy triangle first. A positive divided by a negative equals a negative. Or the tic-tac-toe method. Positive divided by a negative equals a negative answer. So, a positive divided by a negative is a negative answer. And 64 divided by 8 is just 8. I hope these notes are very helpful. I will make some more videos involving some more skill level problems, and then I'll go into doing some word problems on a different video. But again, I hope this helps. We do have a test coming up soon on adding and subtracting integers along with multiplying and dividing of integers. Alright guys, y'all have a great evening.